Good morning, Ms. Sanders.
Good morning, Your Honor.
The witness remains under oath. The court is familiar with the previous testimony. Please continue.
Your Honor, you would like me to leave where I left off?
Yes.
Okay. It was my understanding the last question I read is regarding the medical examiner's information. So just to put the witness back in the position where we left off, I'm gonna bring up the last question I asked. Officer Webb, we talked about your investigation when you found the remains. And you gave the testimony on that. And so now we're gonna move to when you were waiting to get the results back from the medical examiner's office. Okay, okay. So let's see. So after you found the remains, you submitted everything to GBI, the medical examiner. What did you do after that point?
After that, I waited for the results to come back to identify the remains and the cause of death and manner of death from the ME's office.
And when did that come back?
So referring to my notes, on the 27th of May of 2020, I received a notice from the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office in regards to the manner and the cause of death.
Okay, and before we get to that, let's talk about your wait. How long did you wait between the time that you were doing the investigation on site to then receiving the results of the medical examiner's office?
The initial investigation started in July of 2019, and it was May of 2020 when I received the information as far as the manner and cause of death and the identification of the remains.
Okay, and so would that be about 10 months?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you learn of the identification of the remains?
They were identified as belonging to Valeria Robinson.
Okay. And what, if anything, did you learn about the cause of death?
The cause of death was ruled a skull trauma.
Okay.
And
All right. And the manner of death?
homicide.
Okay. What did you do after that?
After I received that information, then I put together a search warrant request to search Mr. Whatley's residence for evidence that could be related to a homicide.
Why did you believe that evidence related to this homicide would be at Mr. Whatley's residence?
Objection to relevance.
Overruled.
Based off of number one, the remains being located in the wood line directly behind the Great American Cookie Company on Patton Drive, which was where Mr. Whatley was employed at the time that the Miss Robinson went missing. In addition to that, the cause of death itself being a traumatic head injury would have caused a substantial amount of blood loss, possible blood spatter. That amount of blood loss from that type of trauma could leave a large amount of blood evidence wherever the crime scene was.
Was Miss Robinson's last known sighting any indication of why you would do that search?
Objection to leading.
Don't leave.
Also, when I had originally,
Objection.
Okay, hang on. Don't leave. Go ahead and ask the question again.
Was there any other reason you would search the residence of Mr. Whatley?
yes, after talking to Detective Goffin with the Atlanta Police Department during my initial investigation and canvass of the area, is when I spoke to him and informed me of their missing person case and that he was a person of interest in their missing person case, and that William Whatley was a was a person of interest in that missing person case. And that she was last seen at his residence the last time that she was seen by anybody.
Okay. And when you requested this search warrant for his residence, do you recall specifically, besides the blood spatter evidence you've already testified to, any other evidence you were looking for?
I was looking for clothing related to Miss Robinson, any paperwork, personal effects that may still be inside the residence also, in addition to the DNA evidence.
And were you granted this search warrant?
Yes, I was.
And what did you do after that?
After that, I coordinated with the Atlanta Police Department and our SWAT team, and we executed the search warrant on a residence.
No further questions.
Cross-examination, please.
Thank you.
Before we begin, please remind me the date the search warrant was granted. Or does anybody know that answer?
The 29th of May,
May 29th,
2020.
2020. Okay. And you executed it when, sir?
Can I refer to my,
Certainly.
Come on here. She's. Ms. Sanders, do you need to see me or can I stand at the podium? Okay.
Shortly thereafter, Sergeant. Shortly thereafter.
yes,
You're gonna object?
it was on June 4th, 2020, Your Honor.
Are you gonna object to your own warrant?
You may proceed.
May I approach, Judge?
Certainly.
Officer, I'm handing you a copy of Defendant's Exhibit number 1. Do you recognize that?
Yes,
What is it?
it's a copy of my search warrant.
Is it a true and accurate copy of your search warrant?
Yes,
Has anything been added or deleted from that copy to your knowledge?
no,
Okay, I'm gonna hand you Defendant's Exhibit number 2. Do you recognize that?
that's the same search warrant.
I'm gonna ask you what it is in a minute, but you want to look at it and see what it is?
Okay.
You can take the off.
Okay, that's the affidavit for that same search warrant.
Okay, and did you sign that affidavit?
Yes, I did.
Is that a true and accurate copy of your affidavit? to your
Yes.
knowledge? Have there been any additions or deletions to it, to the document, to your knowledge?
Not that I could see.
Okay. Your Honor, I'll tender what's been marked as Defendant's Exhibits number 1 and 2 into evidence. I believe the court reviewed them on Friday.
Your Honor, I would object that it is not a certified copy of the search warrant. We can testify, that's why Officer Webb is here, to testify about the contents of the search warrant, but to enter it into evidence, it was not admissible in that format.
No, I'm going to admit it over your objection.
Thank you, Judge. Officer, do you have copies of these available to you? If I can
Yes.
ask you questions?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. Just leave those right there. Now, my understanding is that the remains that were later identified to be that of Valeria Robinson were found July 22nd. Let me make sure I've got the date right. Hold on. I don't want to say something wrong. July 20th, 2019. Is that correct?
Yes,
All right. And so it was on July 20th of 2019 that you first became involved in the case.
yes,
And the reason that you became involved in the case you stated in your warrant was that remains were found at 450 Patton Drive. Near
I re-
450 Patton Drive.
I responded to 450 Patton Drive in reference to the remains, yes.
Okay, those remains were in the woods behind that building, correct?
No, they were in the woods to the side of that building.
Okay, fine. Can you tell me where you said in the affidavit that this was close to the Great American Cookie Company?
The wood line backs up to the Great American Cookie.
No, I'm
Company.
asking you what you said to the magistrate that's in your affidavit.
Your Honor, I would ask that she allow the witness to finish the question.
All right, please do so.
Well, the question was non-responsive.
All right, please ask.
Could you repeat the question?
Sure. Did you say in the affidavit that you swore to and signed that those remains were close to the Great American Cookie Company?
I'd have to review my affidavit.
Please do.
That came later in my investigation in the affidavit.
Okay, so it's not in the affidavit.
It is later in the affidavit.
Where?
That would have been on second page. 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth paragraph down on July 22nd, when I returned for a canvas of the area, is when I went to 4685 Frederick Drive, which is the Great American Cookie Company.
Did you identify that as the Great American Cookie Company in your affidavit?
Yes, I did.
Where?
Same page. If you go down towards the bottom where the date starts 7/25/2019 at 10:30 hours, it states that address and the Great American Cookie Company in parentheses.
Okay, got you. So when you went out to that location, this was 7/22/2019, 2 days after you found the body or the bones, correct?
Yes,
And you spoke with two people, or you advised the magistrate that you spoke with two people at that location, correct?
yes,
One person you spoke with was an individual by the name of Myron Jones.
yes,
And that person told you that his belief was that the remains could be related to one of their previous employees by the name of William Whatley.
yes.
But you didn't write in your affidavit how recently Mr. Whatley had been employed there, correct?
No,
And you didn't indicate any reason to believe or disbelieve Mr. Jones in your affidavit, did you?
no,
You didn't run a GCIC on Mr. Jones to see what his criminal history was, did you?
I don't recall. I'd have to look at my case file.
Well, you didn't let the magistrate know if you had.
No,
All right. So, and it was Myron Jones, was it not, who gave you information that a female, Valeria Whatley, had come up missing in May, assuming May of 2019, and that her family believed that Mr. Whatley was responsible for her disappearance. Is that correct?
that was his belief, yes.
Okay. At that point, you had not spoken, or you didn't indicate to the magistrate that you had spoken with her family to confirm that.
No,
And you didn't tell the magistrate that you had confirmed that any information with regard to who was responsible for her disappearance had happened, correct?
no,
And it was Myron who had told you that Valeria's family had been coming out to the area passing out flyers, right?
yes,
He didn't say why in particular, just that they believed that he was responsible. He being Mr. Whatley.
Yes,
And when Mr. Myron Jones told you that Mr. Whatley had attempted to commit suicide, did you produce for the magistrate any proof that Mr. Whatley had attempted to commit suicide in May?
no,
Did you even confirm that William Whatley lived at 2061 Perkerson Road, Southwest Atlanta, Georgia, for the magistrate?
yes, that came later when I talked to Detective Golphin.
Okay, tell me where you did that, where you told the magistrate.
On that same page, just below 7/25/2019 at 10:30 hours, the next paragraph, where Detective Golphin and I were conducting a canvass of the wood line. And that's when Detective Golphin told me that the witness that he had spoken to had reported that the victim was last seen scratching off lottery tickets when she had left the residence.
Okay, where does it say there that Mr. William Whatley resided at 2061 Perkerson Road?
It doesn't say that in the
Okay,
paragraph.
and where does it say that, well, what it does say is that Detective Webb spoke with a witness who had reported that the victim was scratching off lottery tickets when she left 261 Perkerson Road, correct?
It states that Detective Golphin told me that the witness had reported that his victim was scratching off lottery tickets once she had left the house.
Who is she, the victim or the witness?
That would be the witness.
Okay, so the witness left the house, and you did not specify what that witness's name was, correct?
Not in that sentence.
Did you ever specify who that witness was in this affidavit? And if so, where?
I don't see it in the affidavit.
Okay, so it's not there. Is that fair to say?
Yes,
And you did not take any measures to ensure the magistrate that that witness was reliable. Is that correct?
would you repeat that question again, please?
You did not take any measures in the affidavit to ensure the magistrate that that particular witness who'd spoken with Detective Golphin was reliable, correct?
Detective Golphin's witness was reliable.
Okay.
I would have to review the video recording of my application for the search warrant.
So there's a video recording of an application for your search warrant,
Yes,
and have you reviewed that?
no,
State didn't introduce that, correct?
I don't have any knowledge of that.
Okay. Do you know what information outside of this warrant that you gave her? Can you affirmatively say what, hold on. Can you affirmatively say what information you gave the issuing magistrate outside the scope of this affidavit from 3 years ago.
No, it only would have been if they had additional questions.
I got you. So you have the information about the lottery tickets. You got that from Golphin, right?
Yes,
And Detective Golphin is with APD. Is that correct? Atlanta Police?
yes,
So this is a multi-jurisdictional investigation.
yes,
The bones are found in Fulton County, which is how you get involved, right?
yes,
And Perkerson Road's in Atlanta,
yes,
and that's how Golphin gets involved?
yes.
All right. So did you, let's see. You didn't speak yourself to this particular witness then, before you did the affidavit?
The Detective Golphin's witness?
Correct.
No.
All right. Let me go back to when you're looking at the location where the bones were found. You went out on the 20th, right? And then you went back out on the 22nd of July?
Yes,
And then did you go back out on the 25th of July?
yes,
All right. So when you went out there on those 3 occasions, what you had at that particular point, as far as information, was there were bones that Miss Robinson's family believed, or I'm sorry, that that Atlanta police believed were probably going to be Miss Robinson's, correct?
I didn't find that information out until the 25th.
Okay, I'm going to direct you to the same page you were just looking at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 paragraphs down, beginning with Detective Webb contacted the Atlanta Police Department.
Yes, that would have been on the 22nd.
The 22nd of July, 2019.
Yes, that was the follow-up canvas date.
Okay, and when you spoke with Sergeant Mitchell at APD, they confirmed that they believed that Ms. Robinson was dead and that the skeletal remains were probably going to be hers, correct?
Yeah, they believed there was a possibility. Yes.
Well, did you say probably or possibly? What did you tell the magistrate?
It says probably.
Okay, and when you spoke with Detective Golphin, the information that you got from Golphin, that you don't know, that you didn't indicate where it came from, but the information that you gave the magistrate was that Golphin confirmed that Valeria Robinson was last known to be alive in the house located at 2061 Perkerson Road with the person of interest, Mr. Whatley. Is that accurate?
Yes,
Okay, that's what you told the magistrate.
that's the sentence that's in the affidavit.
And that's what the affidavit that you gave the magistrate.
Yes.
Yeah. And by tell, I'm sorry, I don't want to get into semantics. I wasn't meaning orally. I meant told to in the affidavit.
Yes.
All right. So then on the 25th, you go out with a metal detector with Detective Golphin, right?
Yes.
And that's when you find a lottery ticket that you felt was important.
Detective Golphin found the lottery ticket that
Okay.
he felt was important.
All right. You told the magistrate that Detective Golphin had found the lottery ticket.
Yes.
And you said we did observe a lottery ticket, right?
Where did you read that at?
4th paragraph from the bottom.
Correct.
And that's also where a flip-flop was recovered.
Yes.
And you didn't tell the magistrate why a flip-flop was important to the case, correct?
At that time, I don't know that we were familiar with the flip-flop being more related than, other than us just collecting it. Because we thought it could be, it was suspicious and it could be related.
That's fine, but you did give the issuing magistrate some information about a flip-flop having been located at that juncture or at that location. where the lottery ticket was found.
Yeah, I mentioned the ticket was near where we had previously recovered the flip flop.
Okay. I'm going to go to, second to find the warrant real quickly. When you sought the warrant, you had the collective you had conferred with Detective Golphin, correct?
Yes, I'd already received a copy of his case file.
Okay, and Detective Golphin, you understood, had already seen Mr. Whatley at the hospital, right?
Yes,
Mr. Whatley was in the hospital because he had shot himself in the mouth, correct?
yes,
In an apparent attempted suicide.
yes,
And that had happened May 22nd of 2019, correct? If you know,
I'm not sure. It
but you were aware.
was shortly after she was reported missing.
Okay, and you understood at that particular point that Miss Robinson's family was there at the location where he shot himself, correct?
Yes,
That was at 2061 Perkerson Road, right?
yes,
Did you relay that information to the magistrate?
that's not an affidavit.
Okay. What about when Detective Goffin turned over his file, were you aware that Mr. Whatley had been questioned concerning the disappearance of Valeria Robinson as soon as May of 2019?
Could you repeat the question again?
I'll ask it a different way, make it clearer. Mr. Whatley was hospitalized after he tried to commit suicide, correct?
Yes,
All right. And so isn't it true that Goffin went out to talk to Mr. Whatley while he was at the hospital?
yes,
And when he went to talk to Mr. Whatley, he talked to him about.
Objection, Your Honor. I believe this line of question goes outside of the affidavit window.
Yes, it's part of a Frank's hearing.
Overruled.
He was questioned about the disappearance of Valeria Robinson at that time, correct?
I would assume so, yes.
Okay, well, did you review the case file?
Yeah, I reviewed the case file.
Objection, Your Honor. She's
Okay.
asking the witness to speculate about a different investigator's investigation.
I'm
If he has
asking-
knowledge of it, he can testify to it. Overruled.
Do you have knowledge?
I don't have detailed knowledge of it. I didn't review it that closely.
Okay, but you knew he hadn't interviewed him, correct?
Yes,
And he didn't just pick him out of the blue to go and interview him about a random person whose bones had possibly been found.
that investigation was previous to my investigation. So,
Okay, all right, fine. But you reviewed his investigation when you went out to, or after you had gone out to Patton Road and found the body or found the bones, correct?
I did not watch his interviews or read his interviews
Okay.
in his investigation.
Did he tell you that he had interviewed Mr. Whatley?
Yes, but he did not tell me the details of his interview.
Okay. Did he tell you that he had interviewed him in reference to this case?
In reference to my case, no.
Okay, so he just told you out of the blue, I went out and interviewed a guy named William Whatley at the hospital a couple of months ago. Just completely out of the blue, no reason to tell you that whatsoever.
Just so we're clear, I don't know the entire specifics of his case.
I'm not asking you for specifics.
I received a copy of his case and put it into my case file, and I continued my investigation.
My question is simply, were you aware in May of 2020, when you sought the warrant, that Mr. Whatley had been interviewed by Detective Goffin? That's all I want to know.
Objection, Your Honor. Ask.
All right, keep continue.
All right, so the answer is yes.
Yes,
Thank you. All right, so did you put that part in the affidavit?
No,
Right, and you indicated you had found out that the cause of death was apparent head trauma, correct?
yes,
And that you believed that she had been bludgeoned, correct? That you had reason to believe that she had been bludgeoned.
based off of the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office findings, yes,
Sure. That's what you put in your warrant, that you were seeking evidence of bludgeoning.
yes,
All right. But you also sought other things, correct?
yes,
You sought projectiles,
yes,
ammunition,
yes,
handguns.
yes.
There was no indication that Ms. Robinson had been shot, was there?
Not in the ME's findings, no.
Was there any indication anywhere that Ms. Robinson had been shot that you put in this affidavit?
That's not in the affidavit, no.
Did you put any indication that Valeria Robinson resided at 2061 Perkerson Road in this affidavit?
No,
Did you put any reason that you believed that Miss Valeria Robinson had been staying there overnight in this affidavit?
not in those words, no.
What words did you put it in?
That she was last seen at that residence that night that she went missing.
Right. And you didn't express why she was there or evidence that you had as to why she was there. Correct?
Correct,
You didn't put information as to when she arrived, correct?
correct,
Or when she left,
correct.
or who saw her there?
There is the entry from Detective Golphin. It names her as the witness, but doesn't identify her specifically.
Right. Or what that person's basis of knowledge was.
Yes,
Okay. You did not put down any reason that that you believed that clothing would be found belonging to Valeria Robinson there.
that was mentioned in the beginning of the investigation when clothing was found on the torso of the skeletal remains.
That wasn't found at 2061 Perkerson Road though, right?
No, that was found on the skeleton remains of
Right.
the victim.
The clothes were found with the body.
Yes,
Right. So there wasn't any particular reason to believe that any clothes would be found in the residence, correct?
there would be no particular reason why there couldn't possibly be more of her clothes at the residence either.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. But in seeking this affidavit, you didn't express to the magistrate any basis of probable cause to believe that there was going to be clothes found at the residence that belonged to Valeria Robinson.
Other than the clothes that were on the skeletal remains when she was recovered.
Did you explain to the magistrate why that would be relevant to her determination?
Not in addition to what was mentioned in the affidavit.
Okay. And the bones, just to be clear, the bones and the clothing were found not on the premises of 2061 Perkerson Road.
No,
2061 Perkerson Road is miles away from the location where they were found, correct?
yes,
And you didn't indicate who the owner of 2061 Perkerson Road was in your application, correct? I'm sorry, you did. I beg your pardon. You did say that it was owned by William Whatley and Christine Whatley.
yes,
Yes. But you did not give any reason for the magistrate to believe that William Whatley or Christine Whatley or look at the name again, excuse me. Any reason to believe that this William Whatley was the William Whatley that resided at that address, correct?
yes, that was specified in the search warrant and the
Well-
affidavit.
He wasn't still living at this address at the time you executed the search warrant, correct?
No, not at the time of the search warrant was
Okay.
executed, no.
So at the time that you saw the search warrant, he was no longer living there.
No,
No, I'm not correct, or no, he wasn't living there.
he was living with his parents
And his parents did not live at that address, correct?
Parents own the property. And
Okay,
still,
did you put that in the
One at a
affidavit?
time for the record. I did not hear the end of his question. I have questioned his parents did not live at this address. Answer, the parents owned, and then interruption, I did not hear it.
Your Honor, can the witness please
Go
finish
ahead.
his answer?
the parents own the property. And Mr. Whatley was living with his parents at the time the search warrant was executed.
Where did you put that in the search warrant affidavit?
That was not in there.
Okay. Give me one moment, please. Parents' address that Mr. Whatley was living in was at Washington Road, is that right?
I believe so, yes.
One more thing. When you had the opportunity to review Detective Goffin's file before presentation of this warrant, that you knew that Mr. Whatley had attempted to shoot himself in his house, correct?
Yes,
All right. And you knew that that people entered into that residence when he shot himself, right? Emergency medical personnel, correct?
yes,
Police officers, correct? And certain items were taken from that residence, is that correct?
to my knowledge, yes.
They took some shell casings, is that correct?
I wouldn't be able to testify on this specifically what was processed at that scene.
Okay.
I was not there.
Are you aware that blood swabbings were taken and submitted to GBI?
Objection, Your Honor. He just stated that he cannot testify to what was taken at that scene.
If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't.
I do not.
You don't know whether blood swabbings were submitted?
I do not know what they submitted.
Okay. Did you, well, what did they take from that residence?
Okay.
From 2061 Perkerson Road in May of 2019?
I couldn't give you the specific list unless I had it in front of me.
Okay, you don't know.
No, I don't.
All right. Well, that's all I have. Thank you, sir.
Can you redirect?
Yes, Judge, briefly. Detective Webb, can you look at the very first page of the search warrant?
Yes,
All right. It says the target house. Can you start right there?
yes.
Read that for me.
2061 Perkerson Road, Southwest Atlanta, Georgia, 30310.
And then skip down 2 sections or 3 sections, this property. Can you read that for me? Is owned.
This property is owned by William Whatley and Christine Whatley.
Okay, and was this information on the search warrant when you presented it to the magistrate?
Yes,
Okay. And at that time, you stated that Christine Whatley and William Whatley, did you know their relation to the defendant in this case?
yes.
And what is it?
The parents,
Okay. And so at the time of you executing your search warrant, they were the owners of that address?
yes,
And you stated on cross-examination that who did you know used to stay at that address?
William Whatley.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you to flip to page 1, 2, 3, 4. If you skip to page 4.
Okay,
I apologize, page 5. And skip down to paragraph 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12. 1, 2. Let me count it. 1, 2. Thank you. No, don't say that. Oh, thank you. Okay. The top of the page where it says Detective Webb transport the additional remains. Is that page 5? 1,
Okay.
2, 4, 5, 5. And then paragraph 12, where it says Detective Golfin. Can you read that paragraph for me?
That's where Detective Golfin did confirm that
Yes.
Valeria Robinson was last known to be alive in the house located at 2061 Perkerson Road, Southwest Atlanta, Georgia, 30310, with the person of interest, William Whatley.
Okay. Now, previous to this, we talked about Mr. Jones, correct?
Yes,
That was when you first learned about her disappearance.
yes,
Was Detective Golfin able to confirm that?
yes,
Section to the vague question, able to confirm what?
Her disappearance?
yes,
Was Detective Golfin able to confirm the name of the person that has been missing?
yes. He identified her as Valeria Robinson.
Okay. And Detective Golfin was able to confirm where she was last seen?
Objection to leading.
We're on that same paragraph, Judge. I'm just trying to move us along.
Overrule.
Yes,
When you discovered the flip-flop, how many flip-flops did you find?
one,
And you found that one flip-flop where?
it was in the wood line.
Okay. So to your knowledge, there was a flip-flop missing?
Objection to leading.
Yeah, don't lead, please.
Was there a flip-flop missing?
We only found one flip flop.
All right, if you would then turn, let's see, paragraph 1, 2, 3. When you spoke to Detective Goffin, and he informed you of the investigation, was Detective Goffin able to tell you how Ms. Robinson died?
Objection to relevance. It's not contained in the affidavit.
I think that,
That's the point.
I'll sustain that. Let's move on.
Did Detective Goffin tell you how Ms. Robinson died?
That's the same question.
Let's move on.
Okay. When did you learn that the death of Ms. Robinson may lead to blood evidence?
Objection to relevance.
Overrule.
That would have been on May 27th, 2020, when I received the notification from the medical examiner's office in reference to the skull trauma.
Prior to that, were you aware of any possible blood evidence that may be at the scene?
No,
Okay. At the scene, did Detective Goffin inform you of any possible blood evidence that may be at either scene? The
No.
home
no,
or okay. And so you learned that information on that day?
yes,
Okay. And then after you learned that information, you submitted for a search warrant?
yes.
No further questions.
May I just have a brief recall?
Certainly.
On the search warrant, the William Whatley that you referred to in that search warrant. I'm sorry, can you hear me? Ms. Sanders? Okay. The William Whatley that you referred to in that search warrant is Mr. William Whatley's father, is that correct?
Yes,
All right, so he was the owner of the home.
yes,
You did not make that clear to the magistrate, correct?
That's listed in the search warrant.
Okay. Did you tell the issuing magistrate that the William Whatley who owned the home was the father of the William Whatley that you're talking about during the affidavit?
It doesn't state that.
Okay. Another question, if you'll look at the page that begins Detective Webb and working with the GBI Crime Lab.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm gonna direct you to paragraph 5. It's true that Detective Goffin had sent you a copy of his crime or APD's crime scene report related to William Whatley with an APD case number beginning with 19, correct?
Yes.
And that's case number 191421765.
Yes.
That was with regard to the shooting of William Whatley, was it not?
I don't recall if that was the shooting case number or the missing person case number.
Okay, but it was related, you said specifically to William Whatley.
Yes.
So you had reviewed that case file, that crime scene report, at the very least.
Yes, back in 2019.
Right, a year before the warrant was issued.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
All right, anything further, this witness?
No, thank you.
May this witness be excused.
Yes, Your Honor.
Sergeant, you may be excused with the gratitude of the court.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Please call Detective Goffin.
Your Honor,
Yes,
if I can, the purpose of this hearing is to put this court, the reviewing court, in the same place that the magistrate, Judge Borski, was in at the time that the search warrant was issued. Anything outside of the four corners of this document, the search warrant, and testimony from Detective Webb would put this court, the reviewing court, outside of the scope that it is.
now, don't we have another motion?
Yes.
We do, but it's a Jackson Deno. You want to hear that motion?
Yeah, let's hear that motion.
Okay.
Want me to bring adoption people in?
Yeah, you want me to do it here?
No, we have to do that.
Okay, I'm gonna do a quick adoption while we're bringing in the detective.
Give me a second. I'm getting to them.
Ms. Hanson,
Yes.
the exhibits that you admitted and placed on the court reporters area, if you can just make sure you email those to me.
Okay, I will.
Thank you.
Hold on for me.
Hey, April, are you gonna put us in the breakout room?
Very good. Jury wants the medical report in the bolo.
I like your gloss, April.
You keep things stabilizing.
Thanks.
She's from Central, my sister's here. Oh, she would be. Watch out.
Okay. Have we been looking the whole time? Has that been going on the whole time? Yeah.
Because I knew I had to be mobile for a couple of hours. Be back.
All right.
Spell Detective Golfin for me if you could.
GOLPHIN.
I would have gotten that wrong. Thank you.
I'm not sure that's right.
Well, he nodded his head, so I.
Maybe
His
ask him.
name. Thank you. Yeah, you probably should. She gonna object to the spelling of his name.
He said in the affidavit, but he didn't write the affidavit. I think it's GAU.
Which is it?
Where do you close out one? Where do you close out one before we go? He's just, I know what he's doing. I know. Oh, we're not doing this. You're always talking about the interview. Search one.
All right, see ya.
That's good to see you.
Oh, it's just like a crystal light.
Okay.
So much water, finally it's gonna.
Hey. You can. Y'all still. I mean, you can stay in town, this will just make sure it stays muted, because it's not gonna be out here managing you. Okay. Okay. Okay, okay, great, okay, bye y'all, I'll be back. Put 'em out. I'll be right back. You doing? Good. He's gonna take care of it.
What?
Please bring out the defendant. Please call the detective.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I am handling the motion to suppress the search warrant.
Mhm.
Ms. Christian, 88 Christian, will be handling the Jackson Deno. For procedural purposes, do you mind if we wrap up this hearing with closing before we start the new hearing?
Sure, I understand.
Okay.
So, Ms. Hanson,
Sure, Your Honor.
you may have a seat, sir.
Just a moment.
Your Honor, I submitted previously to this court a memorandum of law regarding the admissibility of extrinsic evidence in a hearing to determine probable cause for a search warrant. It is my position that none of the state's evidence that it introduced affirmatively is relevant to the issue that's before the court today. The only issue before the court is whether the magistrate, Judge Borski, in this case, whether the magistrate had probable cause to issue the warrant, which is based 1 year after the alleged incident that took place allegedly at 2061 Perkerson Road. That's it. And it doesn't matter why, it doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter when. What matters is that it was 1 year later. Not this officer's fault, not Detective Golphin's fault, maybe not anybody's fault. But the question is not whether there's fault. The question is whether or not there was probable cause at the time that the magistrate issued the
What
warrant.
about the fact that the remains were found July 20th of 19, that they didn't have the medical examiner's report till May 27th of 20, and the search warrant has in it evidence that the last known location of this victim alive was at this residence. And there wouldn't have been probable cause because we wouldn't have known who it was or the cause of death until May 27th of 20.
Well, one, they did know who it was. They were questioning Mr. Whatley. They had crime scene reports about Mr. Whatley.
They didn't know who it was for sure until May 27th of 20.
They didn't put in the information to the magistrate of what they did know. And that's where the Franks hearing comes into effect. They did not put in there that Mr. Whatley had shot himself.
I don't know what the relevance of that would be.
Well, they tried to make it relevant by saying that he had shot himself around the time that she had.
But the evidence is that the victim's family went to his house to confront him and he shot himself.
Actually, they don't say that. That's nowhere in the affidavit. And that's the subject of the Franks hearing. That's why I brought that up. I brought that into evidence.
What evidence was gathered in the search warrant?
The fact that the house had been renovated, Judge. That, to my knowledge, that is all the state wants to introduce. That's a question better posed to the state. But
What is the evidence that you propose to put into evidence from the search warrant? I mean, did we find any probative evidence?
So, Your Honor, after the officer executed his search warrant, there was collection swabs submitted to GBI from the home and the observations from the officers to the home was completely renovated. So from what they could collect, there is 2 swabbings that was submitted to GBI.
What did the swabbings come back?
It hasn't come back yet, still processing.
Well, I don't think the evidence, until we find out what those swabs are, I don't think that it's relevant that the home was renovated. I think that we ought to be able to resolve this. I'm going to withhold ruling on this till I find out what the swabs come back.
Your Honor, the ends respectfully doesn't justify the means. So we have sufficient probable cause to
I
establish.
think you do, and I'm going to disagree with the defense, but I'm going to withhold ruling I want to see what the swabs say, because it may be irrelevant. If the swabs come back nothing probative, and then it's moot. And there's nothing there. So what I'm doing is I'm basically denying the motion, but I'm gonna withhold ruling that way until I see what the swabs are, because if the swabs come back with nothing conclusive or probative, then the search warrant's moot. I mean, then there's nothing there. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, but Your Honor, if we go to trial and the state is not able to present that we executed a search warrant and that the officers did their job, then you leave a gap in testimony. And it leaves doubt in the jury.
I'm gonna deny the defense motion,
Okay,
but I'm gonna revisit issues before trial
Okay.
about what was found, okay?
understood.
All right, let me have the detective. Sheriff, please administer the oath. Detective, please come to the witness stand. Please remain standing, sir. Good morning.
Your Honor, may I be excused?
You may.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day. Submit me an order, please.
I did. I will do it again.
You swear upon the testimony about to get voice of the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth of God.
I do.
You know, see. Need you to state your first and last name for the record.
Joseph, Joseph, Golphin, Golphin.
Good afternoon, Detective Golphin.
Good afternoon.
Where are you employed?
City of Atlanta Police Department,
How long have you been employed with City of Atlanta Police Department?
16 years,
And what's your current position?
detective,
Are you in a particular unit or anything?
the internal affairs currently,
Okay. Let's talk about back in June 11, 2019. Where were you employed?
the missing persons unit,
Okay. And how long were you in missing persons unit?
about 2 years.
Did you become involved in a case with Mr. William Whatley?
Yes,
How were you involved? Did you become involved in that case?
I was assigned a missing persons case, the missing person being Valeria Robinson,
And particularly, what year was this?
2019.
In June 2019, did Mr. Whatley make any statements to you?
Yes,
Where was that?
at Grady Hospital,
And what county is Grady in?
Fulton County.
At the time that he made those statements to you, was he under arrest?
No, he wasn't.
Why not?
Didn't have a crime to investigate, just looking for a missing person.
To your knowledge, why was he at Grady at that time?
Because he attempted suicide.
Do you recall when he attempted suicide?
I believe it was May the 22nd, 2019.
And your interview or your meeting with him at the hospital was when?
It was June 11th, 2019.
Who all was present during the
Um,
interview?
me, Mr. Whatley, I think a nurse was present. And there may have been one other person, but I don't remember who it is.
Do you recall how old he was at the time he made the statement?
I don't.
When he spoke to you, was he Mirandized?
No, he wasn't.
Why was he not Mirandized?
He was not in custody.
Was he able to verbally speak with you?
No, he wasn't.
Why not?
I guess because of his injuries, I asked him if he could nod his head or write. He said yes, but because of his injuries, he couldn't speak.
Did the nurses tell you that that was the form of communication that was best to communicate with him?
Yes,
And was this before you went into the room to speak with him?
yes,
Did he appear to have any sort of learning disability?
no,
Did he appear to be below average intelligence?
no,
Did he appear intoxicated,
no,
incapacitated?
no,
Did he appear lucid?
yes,
What about disoriented?
no,
Was he coherent though?
Yes.
Did he answer all of your questions appropriately?
Objection to leading.
Don't leave.
That was not a leading question. My question was, did he answer your questions appropriately?
Yes.
That by, excuse me, there's an objection. That by its nature is leading. It's suggesting the answer.
It's not, but okay.
Let's move on.
Did he give you responses to the questions that you asked?
Yes, he did.
Were they appropriate responses?
Objection to leading.
I think the fact that he responded appropriately to he responded to your questions is good enough. Let's move on.
Did he appear sick?
No.
Describe his demeanor.
It's been a little while, but I mean, he couldn't speak, and I don't know if he was in pain or anything like that, but he didn't seem upset. He didn't seem happy. He was kind of, I guess, in the middle, if that makes any sense.
Was he in control of himself?
Yes.
All over the place or anything?
No.
How long between the time you spoke to him and he was actually arrested?
I don't know when he was arrested.
Okay. Did you arrest him?
No, I didn't.
Did you promise him anything in exchange for speaking with you?
No.
Did you give him any hope of benefit or anything if he spoke with you?
No.
Did you threaten him?
No.
Were you in uniform?
No.
Did you have any weapons on you when you spoke with him?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the answer, so were you in uniform?
No, I was not.
Did you have any weapons on you?
My sidearm.
Was it drawn?
No. No. It was holstered.
Do you recall relatively how long the interview took?
It was short, maybe 10 or 15 minutes.
Did he ask you to stop at any point?
No, he didn't ask me to stop.
Do you remember how the interview ceased?
He said that was making him nervous and he wanted his parents in the room.
Okay. I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 1. Do you recall State's Exhibit 1?
Yes.
Do you recognize State's Exhibit 1?
Yes, I did.
How do you recognize it?
I initialed it this morning.
And was it a fair and accurate depiction? Sorry, I'm trying to say that. Speaker so Candace can hear me. Sorry, I'm trying to stay next to the speaker so you can still hear me, Candace. I apologize. Was it a fair and accurate representation of the interview that you conducted on June 11, 2019?
Yes.
Okay. State moves to sender State's Exhibit 1.
No objection. For the
So
purpose of
admitted,
the
you may
hearing.
publish.
And while you're setting that up, Ms. Christian, as you know, this will just be reflected on the record as an audio or video that was played. There will be no transcript of the audio or video you are showing.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Detective Golfin, it's June 11, 2019, at Grady 6B, room 33, looking for William Whatley. I'm looking for a William Whatley patient. This way. Okay. How you doing?
Is this a video and audio or just audio?
It's audio, Your Honor.
Just audio, okay.
William Whatley. Room 33, I think. Okay. Is it okay to go in and talk to him? All right. Thank you. Hello. Hi. How you doing? I'm Detective Golfing. Oh, I thought you were a family member.
No, I'm the citizen. I work for Brady.
Okay.
I want to speak to him.
Yeah, just try to ask him some questions if it's possible. Okay. Can I set this right here? This right here? How you doing, Mr. Whatley? I'm Detective Golfing, Atlanta Police. I was told can you nod your head yes or no to yes or no questions? Okay. Or you can write and things like that. Okay. I'm here about there's a missing person investigation. Val, she's been reported missing. You know who I'm talking about? Yeah. If I give you something to write on, can you write when you last saw her? Okay. There you go. Yeah, open this up for you. When did you last see her?
Just doing community outreach, want to make sure everything's good. Good? The advantage is transit. I cover the train users transit too. Do you have any other identification on you? A police badge usually seems like it's enough. You do have that, or I don't even know. What is it?
Okay.
What's going on with you?
Thank you.
I don't know. Sorry, you better put that weight back on, buddy.
You don't remember much before the shooting? Okay. What do you remember?
Thanks so much. Stay safe. Stay safe. You just pick your hands up and down the car. Thank you, Miss. All right, Joseph. All right, buddy. Good luck to you. The hands are on the car in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Here we go. Hey, how's it going, man? Chill. What do you do, bud? I got a thing going on here. I got a loose feeling, and
Can I see?
this stuff is an emergency. You know what it is, one?
Okay. Do you remember why you did that? You don't remember why you shot yourself? Okay.
Which way are you going?
Do you remember if anybody was present when you shot yourself? You don't remember, or no one was there?
What's going on there?
Can you write that?
Yeah? I'll be wrapped up in Look, this guy is eyeing you. I got it, dude. It's fine. He's here. You can walk away now. This does feel like one of those setups. It's like when somebody trips you and the other one steals your wallet.
Okay. You don't know if anybody was there? Okay. All right. Do you remember Yolanda? Okay. Do you know anybody named Titus? No? Don't remember Yolanda? Don't know Titus? Okay. All right. But you remember Val? Just a little bit? Okay. If you had to find Val, where would you go to look for her? Okay. Don't know? Okay.
I went for the catch. It came so close, I felt his breath on my tongue. Murray and Q were hands off, so they're first up on the loser board. Today we're competing head-to-head, clipping ribbons on strangers. The first guy will have to attach a ribbon to a stranger once they enter the designated hot zone. And the other guy will have to remove that ribbon.
You know her from the neighborhood?
Hot zone without getting caught. You get caught attaching
She's been to your house before though, right? Okay. Do you remember if she was there the week that you shot yourself? Don't remember? Okay. Do you remember if Yolanda was there? Don't remember? Okay.
You look like you're getting ready to take a selfie.
All right.
Come on.
And you don't remember why you shot yourself? Okay.
Wow, he got it.
Did anybody tell you anything about Val, or anybody been here to talk to you about the shooting? No? Okay. All right. Can I leave my card here?
Choose it. Put it on the top. Put it on the brim. Put it on the bill.
Do you know Val's family at all? I'm gonna put this right here, okay? You know Val's family? No? Okay. All right. Do you know anybody who owns a white truck?
But sometimes too many good options can be overwhelming. That's why Indeed doesn't just give you access to a large pool of job seekers.
You own a white truck?
It also offers career
You don't?
tools that let you instantly
You know anybody who does?
It's no
No?
wonder Indeed delivers
Does your brother own a white truck?
clients that any
Your brother?
job
Okay. What's your brother's name?
With Indeed, experience Indeed for yourself today with a free sponsored job create your first posting at Indeed.com/sponsor.
You don't remember your brother's name? Do you remember his phone number? Because I need to talk to whoever owns a white truck.
At Burger King, feed your appetite your way with our Flame Grilled Whopper meal deals for $4, $5, and $6. Get the Whopper Junior meal for $4 or the Flame Grilled Whopper meal for $5. Still hungry? Get the double Whopper meal for $6. It's Whopper meal deals only at Burger King.
Ask his mom. Who is she? You don't know her name? You do or you don't? Mm-hmm.
I'm harder now because of psoriatic arthritis, but you're still moved by moments like this. Don't let psoriatic arthritis take you away. Taltz reduces joint pain and stiffness and helps stop the progression of symptoms. For people with more severe psoriasis, significant improvement. Taltz even gives
You don't trust me. Why not?
their skin. Don't use if you're allergic to Taltz.
Who do you want here?
Taltz may increase risk of infections and lower your ability to fight them. Tell your doctor if you have an infection.
You want a nurse?
Received a vaccine of Whatley. Inflammatory bowel disease.
Christine? That's your mom? No?
Ask your doctor about Taltz.
That's you, your dad? Kenisha? Let me see what you wrote. You want your mom and dad here? Okay. So your mom is Christine Whatley and your dad is, so you're Whatley Jr.? No? All right, I'll give them a call and see if they can meet me here and then we'll talk again, okay? Okay. Okay. How come you don't trust me? You want to write it down?
Came in hard and fast. And it's been clipped on the bag. Oh, that's an easy grab. That's an easy grab. I stand corrected. I'm sorry. Easy grab, Joe. Easy grab.
You don't trust me and you're confused? Okay. All right. Well, I'll contact your mom and dad and see if they'll meet me here and then we can talk again, okay? All right. Thank you for your time. I got my card over there, okay? All right. Take care.
During the course of that 10-minute conversation, can you describe for the judge what's happening? There's only one voice there.
I'm asking questions and Mr. Whatley is writing the answers down and then I repeat the answers back to him to make sure that we're on the same page.
And Based on the answers that were given, do you consider his statement freely and voluntarily given?
Objection, relevance.
Overrule.
Yes,
When you left, did you take what was memorialized or anything?
I took the paper with me that he wrote on and the recorder.
Okay, and where is the paper?
I couldn't tell you right now. I don't know
Okay.
where it is.
That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Is it still Detective Whatley?
It's Detective Golfin.
I'm sorry, Detective Golfin. I'm
That's all
sorry.
Yeah.
It's been a long day already. All right,
Okay.
I'm sorry. Detective Golfin. When you went out to the hospital in June of 2019, you said that you were aware that Mr. Whatley had shot himself on May the 22nd, correct?
Yes,
That was about 2 weeks prior, a little more.
around there, yeah.
He had not left the hospital, correct?
As far as I know, he hadn't.
Okay. Were you aware when he was taken to the hospital? Were you made aware?
No.
Okay. How did you become aware that he was at the hospital?
When I got assigned the missing persons report,
Which was when in relation to this
it
question?
was May 23rd,
All right.
2019.
So the day after he shot himself.
Yes,
All right. So when you went to the hospital, were you on the 6th floor? Did I understand that correctly from the recording?
I believe it was the 6th floor, yes.
And the 6th floor is for trauma patients. Is that correct?
I don't know.
Okay. When you went, he had a gunshot wound to the face, correct?
Yes,
Any other wounds that you could see?
not that I'm aware of, no.
All right. So when he was sitting there, he had had a number of surgeries. Was that your understanding?
I don't know about his surgeries.
Did you look at his medical records at all?
No,
Did you confer with his doctors or nurses at all?
no.
Did you ask anybody what his condition was?
I asked if he was able to communicate.
Okay.
That's about it.
Did you ask anybody whether he was able to understand?
No, I didn't ask that question.
Did you ask anybody what his education level was?
No,
Did you ask anyone what medications he was on?
no,
Do you now know what medications he was on?
no,
Do you know that he was on, in general, just as a general nature, that he was on pain medications?
Objection, Your Honor, he said no.
It's a different question.
I'll allow the question.
Did you know that he was on pain medications?
I assumed he probably was, but I didn't know what.
It's a pretty graphic wound, correct?
I assume so. I didn't actually see the wound, but
Did he have a mask on?
yes.
All right. Was he bedridden?
He was in bed.
Did he have a walker to walk around with? Do you know if he was ambulatory?
I don't know.
Did you tell him that he had the right not to talk to you if he wanted?
No,
Did you, and I understand that you didn't Mirandize him. Did you ask him if he, or did you tell him that Valerie Robinson was missing
yes,
specifically?
yes,
And you asked him when the last time was that he had seen her, correct?
yes,
You asked him if he knew her, correct?
yes,
You asked him whether, you didn't ask him though if he was in pain.
no.
Did you ask him if he wanted to speak with you?
I asked if, I think when I came in, I asked if it was all right if I came in and asked him some questions.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to show you a transcript of the recording and ask you if that refreshes your recollection as to whether you asked him if
I'm
he wanted
gonna,
to speak with you.
I'm gonna object because he didn't say he doesn't recall. He said no. We heard the audio, so it's no point in refreshing a recollection. It's a
Is there a
improper
transcript?
refresher.
There is.
I'm gonna allow you to reference it.
Okay. I'm just asking if this refreshes your recollection. That's all.
Okay. What is it you want me to look at?
You can just read the first few lines.
Okay.
When you start talking to him.
Okay.
Do you agree that you didn't ask him if he wanted to ask you, if he wanted to answer questions?
No, I didn't ask him that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the recording that you made, what was it made with exactly?
A digital recorder.
How did the digital recorder work? Was it sent with a WAV file to a computer or was it on a tape?
It's a battery operated digital recorder.
Okay, and you were able to save that with on your computer,
Yes,
is that correct?
yes.
Now, with regard to the paper that we were talking about, what kind of paper was it?
It's a legal paper, legal note, legal pad paper.
Like a standard legal pad type of paper?
Yes,
And you gave that to Mr. Whatley and told him he could write his answers down on that, correct?
yes,
And you said you asked him if he could write and things like that.
yes.
All right. So when we hear you ask the question, when did you last see her? And then you say, okay, on the recording, what was his precise answer?
I think he said he didn't remember.
Okay. Do you know that for sure?
Pretty much, yeah. I
Okay.
think I repeated it.
You didn't repeat that. Would you like to see that? Would you agree that you did not repeat that?
I mean, I'll accept that, but he told me he didn't remember when he saw her last.
Okay. And do you remember when you asked him, what do you remember? Can I see on the recording? Do you remember when you asked him that?
No.
You asked him, let me go through chronologically. So you asked him, when did you last see her? Right?
Okay,
And you say, okay. Correct? I
okay.
don't want to have to play the recording again, so.
Mm.
All right. And then you asked him, when you said, can I see, you're referring to the paper, right?
Probably, yes.
Okay. Did you have access to the paper after you left the hospital?
I took it with me.
All right, and that had the entirety of his answers on them, correct?
Yes,
He didn't make any gestures or make any statements other than what he wrote on that paper?
correct.
All right, he didn't make any, when he was writing on the paper, he wrote, how was his handwriting?
Legible.
All right, did you keep, where did you put the paper when you left the hospital?
I went back to the office, so I assume I took it there with me.
Okay, and so when was the first time that you noticed that the paper was missing?
It's not missing. I think I threw it away or something. I had the recording, so his answers were he didn't remember, so I didn't see any need to keep it.
Well, you would agree that you didn't respond to every single question that he answered verbally, correct?
He answered every question I asked him.
Okay, my question was, would you agree that you did not necessarily repeat back every answer that he gave you on the recording, correct?
I don't know.
But whatever the
answered-
record, go ahead.
One at
He
a
answered
time.
every question I asked him, so
You might have to repeat.
sorry.
You might have to repeat because I was speaking over you.
That's okay. I said he answered every question I asked him, so,
Okay,
you know,
would you agree that at least that first question, he didn't answer? Well, I'm sorry, he did answer, but you didn't repeat back.
what was the question?
The question was, when did you last see her?
I think he wrote that he didn't remember.
But you don't remember for sure?
That was his answer to every question I asked him. So,
Okay, but the only way that we know that is your visual memory, is that correct?
yes,
All right. And you think you threw the paper away?
yes, I didn't save it.
All right. Do you know why?
Like I said, I had the recording. His answers were he didn't remember, so there was no need to save it.
Okay, so you felt the recording would be sufficient to give to whomever you had to pass it on to.
For the case file, yes.
All right. You questioned, when you were questioning him, you indicated that you were not aware of what if any kind of medications he was on. Is that correct?
Correct.
But you knew that he had tried to commit suicide. Correct?
Yes,
He had a therapist in the room of some sort, correct?
there was someone in the room. I don't know who she was.
Did you not hear on the recording that she identified herself as a therapist?
I mean, she may have, I just didn't listen to it.
Okay. And did you, when he said to you at some point, or I'm sorry, you said to him, you don't trust me? Why not? Correct?
Yes,
Had he written down on the paper, something that said he didn't trust you? What made you respond that way?
he said he didn't trust me. I asked him why. He said, I just don't.
Okay. And then at that point, he said he wanted somebody there.
Yes,
And I'm assuming, tell me if I'm wrong, that he was gesturing to the board across the room saying the names of people that were on his board.
yes, his parents' names.
Okay. And so his parents were the people that he wanted there, and he didn't indicate to you why he wanted them there.
No.
Well, actually, he said, you don't trust me and you're confused. Is that what he said to
Yeah,
you?
yes, I'm sorry. Yes, he said
Okay.
that.
So he said that he was confused at that particular point.
Yes,
All right. Did you ask him what he was confused about or when he became confused?
no,
Did you ask him what was making him confused?
no,
Did you consult with any of the doctors and nurses after you left about what might have been making him confused?
no.
Okay, those are all the questions that I have for you.
Anything further from the state?
No, Your Honor, just argument.
I have some evidence, Judge.
Okay. May this detective be excused?
Yes.
Yes.
You're excused, detective, with gratitude to the court.
Thank you, Your
Have a
Honor.
good day, sir.
You too. Thank you.
All right, what is your evidence, please, Ms. Hanson?
Your Honor, I would introduce two pieces of evidence for the purpose of this hearing, and for clarity, I'm going to call one defendant's exhibit number A or letter A, the other defendant's exhibit number B or letter B. They are certified records from Grady Memorial Hospital. And I'll give a copy. I'll show the copies to Ms. Christian. I also have them electronically to tender if necessary.
Ms. Sanders?
Yes, Your Honor. I mean, if she's able to upload them via chat in the Zoom, the exhibits that have already been tendered and admitted, that'd be helpful.
Can you do that, Ms. Hanson?
That might exceed my technological expertise, but I'll do my best. Maybe Mr. Mackey can do it.
All right, do you have paper copies?
I do, Your Honor. Ms. Christian.
I'm going to admit those. May I see the paper copies when you get a
Your Honor,
chance?
I haven't been able to look through this either, so
Take a minute. As you wish.
Mhm, yeah. They've been submitted into the chat, Your Honor.
They've been submitted, Ms. Sanders.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And that's going to be all the evidence I have, subject to the state's objection and ruling by the court.
Also, if you could submit. It's marked as defendant 1 and defendant 2, and you said it was going to be A and B, but you also admitted another one earlier. So I'm just asking if you could submit the other one as
A and B
one
is
with the
what it is.
parentheses or something so I can differentiate. I'll know it from the document. Just I'm realizing as I'm saving it that they're titled differently than you marked on the record.
Right.
were the electronic copies sent to the state as well, or just so I can make this quicker?
Right now.
I can make it quicker. They're not in the chat.
I think they're in the chat directly to me, Ms. Christian. So
Here,
that I
let me
can
send it directly. You have it now.
No.
I'm gonna send it to them. Or can you just email it to them? It's better that way. And then Mr. Moore. It should be with Mr. Moore now.
Your Honor, I can give you this copy now that we have it in the chat.
Will you please? Was any objection to their admission?
For the limited purpose of this particular hearing, Your Honor, the only objection, well, no, not for this hearing.
Okay, so admitted. Thank you. Just give me a moment, please. Tell me the pertinent parts of these, Ms. Hanson.
Absolutely, Your Honor. First part is to document when he was shot on May 22nd, 2019. I think the officer testified to that, so I'm not worried about that part so much. But the documents show that he was on a number of medications on June 11th, 2019, when he was questioned, which is a continuous infusion of oxycodone, which is on page 265. And he was also on amoxicillin. This is also page 265, amoxicillin, quetiapine, fluoxetine, oxycodone, and other medications. Page 269, that he was a high risk for suicide and that he was recommended to a high level of care at that point, and that he was taking Ativan for anxiety and agitation on the 11th day of June, which is also page 298.
So you're basically saying he wasn't coherent because he was on pain medications.
And because he said he was confused. Yes, Rob. That's the gist of my argument. I don't have an argument with regard to Miranda specifically. I do agree he was not under arrest, but he was that the statement was involuntarily obtained or was an involuntary statement. Therefore, if it was involuntary, it can't be used either for case in chief or for impeachment.
I wish we'd gotten in more into with the detective about whether or not he seemed coherent. Did he seem to understand? Was he?
Those are the questions that he was asked, Your Honor, and the Supreme Court of Georgia has addressed this particular issue. May I?
You may.
Thank you. Would you like me to give the law to the court now or?
Yes. The Supreme Court has addressed this issue.
Yes, Your Honor. I have 3 separate cases. Give me 1 second. It's Jennings v. State, 282 Georgia 679. It's a 2007 case, and this particular case is the exact same issue. It's a murder case where the defendant was charged with murder. He also overdosed at the on his way before he was taken to the hospital. He was taken to the hospital for overdosing. And during the process, he was questioned by officers because he had beat his girlfriend to death at the time. He was questioned by police regarding her being missing. They didn't have her body at the time, but he appealed, urging the court that the statement that he made in the hospital to a sheriff's deputy and an investigator was not given freely and voluntarily. And the court has determined that they looked at the totality of the circumstances and said that he was being held in the treatment of medical personnel, that they didn't question him regarding the particular incidents, and that they were attempting to locate her at the time. So as it relates to him being in the hospital, I just wanted to address that issue because that was brought up in their motion. But him being in a hospital setting, that is not in custody. In the case of Forehand v. State.
No, I don't believe he was in custody. I'm
Okay.
gonna make that ruling, but what I want to know is where do you have a case that's addressed where somebody was on pain medication?
Yes, Your Honor, that would be
What I'm not
Forehand v. State. That's a 2005, it's 271 Georgia App 746. It's a Court of Appeals case. In this particular case, the court held that the defendant was coherent and understood his rights at the time of the statement, that he was under the influence of alcohol to the extent that it would remove his reasoning ability or his ability to voluntarily and intelligent waive his and freely waive his rights at that time. But the Supreme Court, the court did hold that intoxication standing alone does not render a statement inadmissible if the evidence is sufficient to establish that the defendant's statement was the product of rational intellect, free will, and it may be admitted even if the defendant was intoxicated when he made the statement. The trial court should review the totality of the circumstances preceding.
All right, I'm gonna rule based on the totality of the circumstances. The statement was voluntary. I'm gonna deny the motion, submit me an order. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Based on that case.
Before I end this Zoom, I did message, I believe Miss Green, Valeria Robinson, Valeria Robinson.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. And like I said, Ms. Hanson, I can definitely adjust the, as it's being admitted. I just kind of wanted to know, just don't forget to send the first one. Because by the time I transcribe this and it's a transcript, it could be 3 months down the line and it gets real confusing if I don't recall. So if you can just email that to me. And Ms. Christian, did you submit anything via exhibits?
Yes, and I will get it to you immediately, right now.
Thank you. I'll try not to bug you guys. I'll be back in town on Monday, so you may get a lot of emails depending on if I haven't received those from you.
I'll be in Jamaica. So I won't get your email either.
Okay, so please send it to me by the end of the week then.
What do you need? The first exhibits from the first hearing? They've been emailed to you already.
Okay,
Don't
thank you.
have them,
Since
let
I'm
me
taking
know.
down and doing all of this, I
Can't
haven't
check
had a
it. I
chance
got
to
you.
look.
Okay, cool.
Okay, I hope
Thank
you
you.
all have a wonderful day. Thank you for
You
working
too.
with me.
You get it.
No, I got it. I still have it. Okay. I still have it. Okay. Okay. He's coming back. All right, cool.
Consent.
Wait.
Right.
I guess we go down that point.
I didn't say goodbye. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we get down that point. We submit a letter from Lemonade with. Do a, well. That case about a guy who showed up.
It's not. There is, and it's a fact, it's a factual finding. So it's not a. Not my error. I'm not gonna worry about it.
Order. Order.
Is Mr. Whatley still back there? If I could just see him for a second, it would be helpful, but if not, don't worry about it. I'll go see him at the jail. When do you leave?
6:05 now.
What time? Early
Flight's at 11, so.
for you?
All day in there.
A long flight.
Where you going?
You going, what? Dominican, awesome.
Have a great time.
Yes, enjoy. You going to Punta Cana? Or the other side? You going to Punta Cana? Awesome. I'm just not gonna worry about it. I'll see him at the gym. Yeah, it's fine. Is he back there? Oh, they're bringing him up from downstairs?
She doesn't have her uploading.
Here,
She has to get an audio, a digital version.
Thank you. So if anybody can go on a lunch or whatever.
Right over. No, we can go jail. He's not waiting right now. Is he gonna take you?
Do they want to?
He gonna take you out?
He said he's coming, come out.
Okay.
That's what he said. They don't want to. They don't need it.
No, I need it when I'm doing it. So I was like, okay, it's no problem.
I'll do that.
Is there a detective that needs me? Yeah, you can come up here. How you doing?
62, 60.
You're investigating the DA's office.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, now you're there. You came to my house.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Whatever, a bunch of us. You come see me anytime. You have my cell phone.
And I'll take it.
I think morale's doing better over the
Yeah.
much better,
Much better.
And he's an officer.
Downstairs?
Oh, yeah.
Gotta have somebody who pays the bills.
Yeah, the attorney talked to me. Wow.
That's how it is.
Yeah.
Robert says Oli is also gonna be in leave that day. 13 on the letter. bonds. Crown diamonds or something, the big one does.
So, maybe that 5840 College Drive.
That one's like.
The name is Lamoy. First name is Lamoy. I have no idea what to do.
I appreciate it. I think we should. Yes.
Even though I ruled against you, you did a good job.
Thank you, Judge. Appreciate it.
Just because I ruled against you doesn't mean I don't like you. I had to tell Cameron that he got his feelings hurt.
I was irate, stamping my feet, throwing papers.
I will see y'all. Y'all have a good day.
You too.
Thank you.
Walker, you good?
Yeah.
You done? We're waiting for you.
Well, no.
Robert had evidence that he opened fire onto the house where his girlfriend was at.
I had one of those. He didn't show up to court.
My guy isn't getting out of jail because he also had an unindicted robbery. He just got out of prison.
The DV is the least of his worries.
But it's the only thing that's indicted.
Oh.
And it's on the possibility. He just came out with her, and she has just hung up on me.
Honestly, I'd rather get me on the and some bullshit that I hear when I.
Days before you get bored, maybe not.
Okay.
I'm not going back for it, but they ask you to reconsider it.
We
Reset for jury trial and
can't be effective unless we have offers. Or trial.
I would go return on.
there's nothing to do with trial. Statement from him,
Right. Well, that's what it was with D'Angelo Davis. She says, like, they say that she said that you did.
Yeah.
You said you didn't. I don't know what the hell she's gonna say.
but if she's.
That's why we have trials.
So she got all the body games. You know, so. And then you got a bunch of almost asking for her affidavit.
Maybe it's just, you know, maybe. No, then he's really on the way. You hear him now?
I don't know if it went downstairs. You can hear where the church. You hear me?
Oh, the elevator? Oh, yeah, squeaky wheels.
I don't think we have anything that, I guess we would have been notified already if we had a case that apparently was going to that.
Well, you can bring them right here.
That senior judge calendar trial, but they're March 20th.
Yeah.
Just wait till they finish. I don't know if it's certain, explain something like that. Over on this one.
This one, are you?
And I'm probably all right. Oh, hold up.
Oh, hold up.
Seen the beautiful swab.
Mr. Whatley?
Yeah. So it's a
Yeah,
warrant.
done one.
Yeah. So yeah, you know, Jimmy don't have a Jimmy Allen's out of his DNA.
So what? Detective what?
If for whatever reason, GBI they don't have your DNA, they have everything else. So it's pretty much to conclude, yeah, that's right.
Thanks. Just for due diligence.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, scratch.
That sequence video. Nah, you can sit down. You can sit down. You can sit down. You can sit down. You can sit down.
They told them. In 2019. I think you're exactly.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
I can take blood and gut, I can take all kinds of stuff, but I cannot handle mouth stuff. It just grosses me out. I don't know how you handle that. Teeth, dental. Ugh. All right, see y'all later.
Hey, Siri, call Shanice Winter.
How do you disconnect from YouTube? Recess no more? Uh-huh. Stop light.